Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another video. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell so you will be updated on all my future content. So this video is going to be a review of reducing fractions to lowest terms. Our first example is 14/42, and I'm going to go through step by step how to reduce that fraction to lowest terms. So the quickest, most efficient way to reduce a fraction to lowest terms is to divide the numerator and the denominator by the greatest common factor. At least that's the quickest way I know. I don't know, maybe there's a quicker way, but quickest way I know to do that, you divide the numerator and the denominator by the greatest common factor. So, the greatest common factor between 14 and 42 is actually 14, so we're going to divide the numerator by 14 and the denominator by 14. So 14 divided by 14 equals 1. 42 divided by 14 equals 3. And we have our final answer, 14/42 reduced to lowest terms equals 1/3. All right, moving on to the next example. It's the Mr. Camilleri show. It's the Mr. C. It's the Mr. Camilleri show. Shout out to Mr. C. All right, 12/40 is our next example. I'm going to show you how to reduce 12/40 to lowest terms. So we reduce fractions to lowest terms by dividing by the greatest common factor. Now the greatest common factor between 12 and 40 is 4. So we are going to divide the numerator by 4 and the denominator by 4. So 12 divided by 4 equals 3. And 40 divided by 4 equals 10. And we have our final answer. 12/40 reduced to lowest terms equals 3/10. Moving on to example number 3. Shout out to everybody tuning in. Please hit the like button. It really helps the algorithm. All right. Next example, we have 5/30. So again, we're going to divide by the greatest common factor. Now, even though I know the greatest common factor off the top of my head, for people that don't, I'm going to show you how to go about finding it. We're going to list the factors. We're going to list all the factors of 5 and 30, and we are looking for the greatest common factor. Not the biggest number, but the greatest factor that 5 and 30 have in common. So the factors of 5, there's only 2 of them, 1 and 5. The factors of 30, we have 1, we have 2, we have 3, we have 5, we have 6, we have 10, we have 15, and we have 30. Now, even though 30 is the biggest factor that we see in the list here, 30 is not a factor of 5. 5 is a factor of 30, but 30 is not a factor of 5. So that's not going to work. 15, again, it's a factor of 30, but it's not a factor of 5. 10 is a factor of 30, but not a factor of 5. 6 is a factor of 30, but not a factor of 5. The greatest common factor, the biggest number that's a factor of both 5 and 30, is 5. So 5 is what we need to divide by. So we're going to do 5 divided by 5, and then we're going to do 30 divided by 5. So 5 divided by 5 equals 1. 30 divided by 5 equals 6. And we have our final answer, 5/30 reduced to lowest terms equals 1/6. Alright, moving on to our next example. Shout out to everybody tuning in. Please hit the like button. It really helps the algorithm. Alright, next example. Alright, we will do 15/60. Alright, so dividing by the greatest common factor. The greatest common factor between 15 and 60 is 15. So we're going to divide the numerator and the denominator by 15. $15 divided by 15 equals 1. 60 divided by 15 equals 4. And we have our final answer. 15/60 reduced to lowest terms equals 1/4. Moving on. To perhaps the final fraction problem of the video. Alright, 8/28. We have to reduce 8/28 to lowest terms. So I'm going to write out all the factors of 8 and 28, and then we're going to divide by the greatest common factor. So for the factors of 8, we have 1, we have 2, we have 4, and we have 8. For the factors of 28, we have 1, we have 2, we have 4, we have 7, and we have 14. Oh, and we have 28 because every number is a factor of itself. So 28, even though 28 is the biggest factor, it's not the greatest common factor. We're not just looking for the biggest number, we're looking for the biggest number that 8 and 28 have in common. So 28 is a factor of 28, but 28 is not a factor of 8. 14 is a factor of 28, but 14 is not a factor of 8. 7 is a factor of 28, but it's not a factor of 8. The biggest number that 8 and 28 have in common is actually 4. Again, 8 is a factor of 8, 8 is not a factor of 28. So even though there's several numbers that are bigger than the number 4, 4 is the biggest number that both 8 and 28 have in common. So 4 is what we're going to divide by. So 8 divided by 4, 28 divided by 4. Let me make my division sign a little neater. Legibility does matter. Alright, 8 divided by 4 equals 2. 28 divided by 4 equals 7. And we have our final answer, 8/28 reduced to lowest terms equals 2/7. That is my video for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Leave a comment. Let me know what you thought of the video. And if there is an area of math or reading that you're having difficulty with, put that in the comments. And I will do a future video on that skill. Until next time, this is Mr. Camilleri, signing off.